Police say a suspect is in custody, and they may have also recovered the weapon involved. Sky watchers can check out a total lunar eclipse tonight. The moon will turn a reddish hue as the Earth and moon align. Look along the southern skyline to catch the eclipse's peak about 9 p.m. It'll be visible around the entire U.S. and will last around 85 minutes. The next eclipse is not expected until November. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 a.m., the station that leaves no listener behind.
Welcome back, everybody. Happy Sunday. Today is a great day. You guys listening to Whatever Works. I'm Sam Works.
I'm Kyle Kerrigan.
And you guys listening on KCAA Radio 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM.
Quick shout out to snjradio.com. No negative news, no politics, just feel good music. And our man, Secondhand Sam at Second Chance Thrift Store next to USA Subs on Ukaiba Boulevard.
Yeah, go check them out, guys. So if you guys don't know already, we do sponsorships here on the radio. So if you guys have a business or anything that you guys want to promote, you guys can just contact us. Follow us on social media, right? So we have an Instagram page, KCAA Whatever Works. We have a website,
KCAA whateverworks.com. You can hit up our Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook from there. If you feel like you have a lot to talk about, whatever works, go ahead.
Whatever works. You know?
Whatever works.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and just go ahead and leave us a message. And if you want to be on the show, if you want to be a sponsor,
feel free.
Feel free.
And also, you guys can, if there is a show that you guys missed that you guys want to go back to, like Mother's Day, if you guys want to hear about my mom and Kyle's mom talking about giving birth, then you guys can go back.
Yeah.
Go on Spotify and look up KCAA Whatever Works. So basically, any way to find us, KCAA Whatever Works. We'll see you guys there. Actually, I had someone from a different country this weekend. I was telling this person about my show, and she's all excited. So she hit the alert button on Spotify. So she'll be able to listen to us. That's pretty cool. We're really branching out. We actually had a guest that's unfortunately not coming in tonight, but she's actually on the East Coast, right?
Yeah, Indiana.
So shout out to her. Her name is Sarah. Yeah, she does like video streaming with her boyfriend and stuff like that. And that was kind of like what we were going to talk about a little bit when it comes to like video games and everything. And so we won't jump away from that. There is something that I wanted to talk about when it comes to video games. If you guys know like how serious like the graphics and stuff look, and like from like early 2000s, right, very pixelated to like now. So there's a game coming out. It's like The Matrix, right?
Yeah.
Just like the movie, right?
Oh yeah.
But it is so realistic that they did a commercial for it, and it's what's that guy's name from The Matrix?
Neo?
Keanu. Yeah, Reeves.
Oh yeah. Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves. So they did a video of him like doing this interview, but then it's actually zooming out and it's part of the video, like it's a video game. But you couldn't tell, like it looked so real, you know?
It's crazy.
And so that was like something that I really wanted to touch up on because like looking towards the future, like especially with like VR.
Definitely, yeah, VR, 3D, like 4D sensations. Shout out to all the game designers out there. It's definitely a lot of work.
It is so crazy to think about because like if we can make it almost seem as realistic as possible, bro, 50 to 100 years from now, we wouldn't even tell. Like some people would rather choose to live a life in the video game than like come out to reality.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's
crazy to think about. Yeah,
because if they can make it so realistic to where it feels like real life, and then a gaming company made it like a Sim City almost, you know,
that almost feels like Total Recall. You ever see that movie?
No, I have not.
So there's actually two. The first one was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the second one was with Colin Farrell, and it's about dreaming that became reality. And it's pretty deep. They're both really good movies, both of them. But
yeah, see that's another thing when it comes to like dreaming and stuff, because you know the mind is a very, very powerful thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, you ever been on the road and you're going from point A to point B, and the next thing you know, you're already there? Like, you don't remember driving,
That's crazy. That's a crazy feeling.
you know?
Yeah.
And like one time as a little kid, I was at church, and I was awake, but I was daydreaming, because it was like an hour of a sermon, and
Yeah.
it was already like my second round of doing the third sermon, right? So it's like the third hour, and I'm daydreaming, and I can physically see what I'm daydreaming. I remember looking back, it was a beach. Like, I remember daydreaming about the beach and everything, but
Yeah.
it blocked out my reality. Like, it blocked
Yeah.
out the church scenery. It was just all in my head, but it was like, it was there, like,
Yeah.
And so like that's something that I just find so amazing,
Yeah. Okay. Have you ever daydreamed but like look at yourself in third person? Have you ever done that before?
Not while daydreaming.
That's a crazy feeling. Like I was driving at night.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go, Joe. So I was driving at night, and we were driving home from Yuma, Arizona, down the 10 or down the 8 to go up to through Imperial Highway up to like Salton Sea, going up towards like Palm Springs. And I'm driving, and then all of a sudden, like, you ever play like GTA or like a racing game, and then like you could see the back of the car like drive?
Right. Yeah. On the back end, like the back view.
There was like a good like 10 minutes where I was just looking like that. But like I was like aware, and like the cars that were passing by, I can hear them, and it was like the weirdest thing.
Were you on drugs? Were you smoking?
No. No, I was completely sober. I was like, man, this is the weirdest daydream. So I pulled over. I was like, maybe I should just stop.
Did you snap out of it?
Yeah, I snapped out of it, and then all of a sudden I was in first person. I was like, oh, maybe I'm getting a little tired. Let me just
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
See, I never did it while daydreaming, but a lot of times, especially when I'm out in like public and stuff, or if I'm having a conversation,
Yeah.
for sure when I'm having a conversation, a lot of the times I see myself in third person.
Yeah.
Because I'm watching myself, like, how am I reacting? What's my
Right.
body language?
Yeah.
Like, do I sound or look stupid? You know what I mean?
Right,
And, like,
exactly. Yeah.
And for a while, I thought it was, like, some supernatural stuff. I was like, dude, what? Like, I like seeing myself in third person, like the back view, like the back of your head. Like,
Yeah.
you're not seeing your face, but
Yeah.
you see everything around you as if, like, you're the character. So, and see, when it comes to, like, your brain and your mind, and this is all just personal philosophies,
Yeah, definitely.
That's why I feel like when adults, they don't let their kids watch scary movies. Like, why?
Okay, yeah.
Why, right? And I think it's because before all that, like, you would have to be pretty creative to create, like, evil, like, in your head without seeing something first to either trigger it or start it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, makes sense.
And so, like, these adults are like, hey, I don't want you watching scary movies because then you're going to have nightmares about them and then blah, blah, blah. But to me, it's really like, now that's going to be in your reality,
yeah.
right? And then, of course, there's people that watch scary movies, but they don't believe that stuff. So the conversation's kind of like back and forth on it. But realistically, like, there's a lot of things that people believe that other people don't,
Yeah, exactly.
right? And, like, one of them is, like witchcraft and stuff,
Yeah.
especially towards the East Coast and, like, Salem and everything like that.
Yeah.
Or, like, voodoo. That's the word I was looking for, right?
Right.
And,
yeah.
like, some people really, like, believe that stuff,
Yeah, definitely.
And in retrospect, like, I feel like because they believe in it and because their mind is so powerful, like, again, daydreaming, like, you can't see in front of you. You're just dreaming. You're, like, looking at what you're dreaming about.
Yeah.
Like, if you truly believe in voodoo, then in your reality, yeah, it's probably real. You
Yeah.
know?
Oh, so when I went on vacation to New Orleans, that's like a big, like, Louisiana, like, down that part is big into black magic.
Yeah.
Like, there's museums like there's voodoo museums, there's black magic museums, there's like a whole bunch of crystal shops just to like kind of like talk to like the energy, stuff like that. And a lot of people down there really believe it.
Yeah. It's almost like a placebo effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, like, there's been studies where, like, these people need to get, like, knee surgery, right? So they faked the surgery, and they let their family know that this is what they're doing. They faked the surgery, and they gave them like medication, but it was just like sugar pills or whatever. And a good portion of those people really thought like their knees got better.
Yeah.
You know,
it's crazy. That's a crazy thing.
Yeah, and it's all in the mind, like
Yeah.
like what Joe was saying. So, like when it comes to believing in certain things, whether it's like voodoo or like health or like your own success, like how you believe yourself, like, you know, like it's so strong. It's like manifesting.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And a lot of it is like the subconscious, like going over, like if you're thinking about failure all the time and you're not thinking about winning or getting out, you're just like complaining to yourself in your head, like you're going to be in that position until you change your mindset.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Until you change your vision. And that's something that I definitely have been working on. Intelligence is lower in the I'm not I just got a note handed to me, and it was just a funny haha thing, so I'm not gonna read it out to you guys. But it does say facts at the bottom, so,
So
maybe if I'm feeling gutsy today, we can talk about it. But yeah, so so going on forward with that, we actually have my pastor coming on the air in a couple of minutes. He's gonna be calling in, and I kind of wanted to get a little bit more in depth with like the mind or like the spirit and stuff. Yeah. Because it was my brother's. Oh, by the way, happy birthday to my brother.
Yeah, JC.
Staff Sergeant Works, machine gunner. Forgot his MOS. I think I don't want to get it wrong. But anyway, happy birthday to you, man. Happy 24th. I really enjoyed camping with you. And
yeah, it seemed like a good time.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for being my best friend. But so on this camping trip, like if you guys don't know who my brother is, we're really close. We're like 16 months apart, right?
Yeah.
And he went to the Marine Corps. He got a family. He's out on base. So I don't really get to see him as much as I used to. I used to pick his brains out. You know, we used to have conversations about everything.
Yeah.
And now, since he has this whole new life, like I'm curious on like what JC, you know, believes in now or what his thoughts are. You know, I want to pick his brain again. So we went camping for his birthday this weekend, and we went on a hike, little trail at the end of the night. Everyone's tucked in sleep, so it's just him and I. Yeah. And you know, for me, I'm a very spiritual person. I believe in God personally, and that's just who I am. But so I was kind of curious about JC. I was like, hey man, like what's up with you? Like, what are your thoughts, right? Yeah. And he has a drill sergeant or an instructor that he went to class in the morning, right? Because he works out and then he goes to like this leadership class. That's what it is. And then he does his thing throughout the day. But ever since he's been doing that leadership class, he's been feeling great. He's like, man, like I come back and like I want to clean. Like I want my baby daughter to run up and like jump into my arms, you know, like all this crazy stuff. And, you know, life is just amazing. And he went back and his instructor was like, hey, Works, how you feeling? And he's like, you know what, Master Sergeant, I'm feeling really good. He's like, and why is that? He's like, I don't know why. And he's like, it's because you hit all three of your points of like life. So like you worked out your physical, your flesh, your body, right? And then going to that leadership class, you worked out your mental. Yeah. And at the same time in that leadership class, you were working out your spirit. So you worked out all 3 points of like your being, and that's what made you feel good, you know? And so for me, like what your spirit is, in my personal experience, it's almost like your thoughts, your subconscious. Right. Right. And so we'll get a little bit more into that. We actually have Paul here calling in. We're going to bring him in on the air. Pastor Paul, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to be with you again, Sam.
Hey, thank you again for coming on. You're an awesome person, and happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Oh, happy Sunday to you.
So the reason why I called is because, I mean, I didn't have to do this over the air, I wanted to do it in person, but I mean, your church is getting packed now, man. You got a lot of people to shake hands to, so that's good. That's good news. But every time I go to your church, and I think I explained this to you before, but like your message is always, it's almost personal to me, you know?
Right.
Like I look forward to going to church because whatever I'm thinking about that whole week, you explain it to me, you know, in better terms, or, you know, there's something missing that you kind of plug in for me. So, and today was a good one. I mean, you continued on from last week's message about, you know, holding accountable, being like living an unnatural life, right?
Correct.
And I had you on my show, and you kind of explained that to us a little bit. But it wasn't until today when you continued to talk about it where, like, I don't know if you saw me, but I was smiling, I was cheesing, I was like, "Yup,
You were.
yup." Like, and the reason
That's a good feeling.
Yes, and the reason being is because, like, lately with like the life that God has given me and like all the challenges that I've given myself, I've been battling myself, you know, a battle between my flesh and my spirit. And before you called in, like I gave my personal view on what like my spirit is, and to me it's like my subconscious, like my ultimate thinking. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so this past couple weeks, I've been battling with myself with like the temptations of what I've naturally drawn to, especially in the environment that I'm in. And so you giving that message today was pretty awesome. So if you want to like maybe recap on what you were talking about today, I think that would be great.
Yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, Sam, I think, you know, with you and what you're experiencing with every time you come to church, it's because God has something for you, you know, and he's drawing you. So, you know, I think that, and I pray every week that God would fill me with words that the people that are going to be listening need to hear, because he's with you all week. You know, I'm not. He lives with you. He's the Lord, right? He's all knowing. So I think that's why so many people show up to church and say, whoa, was he like listening to my thoughts? Like, what's going on with this dude? You know, and time again, I hear that. And that's simply because of that prayer. So I just, Lord, you know who's going to be there, and I'll pray. So this morning we continued our series called Unnatural. And the challenge that I threw out was that we would live unnatural lives within an unnatural community. And because all of us have these things, right, that left unto ourselves, undisciplined and unchallenged, we will basically self-destruct, because what we need is something outside of ourselves to give us discipline, to give us, you know, kind of structure, to remind us of what's really important, to show us where A and B connect, because we don't often see that. We want A, and that's all we can think about is A, but we don't realize that B is pretty bad, you know. But that's where that's going to lead us. And in the Bible, that plays out in the book of Romans in chapters 7 and 8, where in chapter 7, the author, Paul the Apostle, he's talking about that struggle that you're saying that you have, that I say that I have, that I think we all have, is that we're tempted to do the wrong thing. We don't really want to do it, but we want to do it, right? Our spirit doesn't want to do it, but our body, our flesh, you know, our natural human nature wants to. So then at the end of that chapter 7, Paul calls himself wretched, right? He says, "Wretched man am I, who's going to save me from this?" And then chapter 8, verses 1 through 4 begins with, "Praise be to God, there's no condemnation for those that are in Christ Jesus, who will free us from this." Because as we understand Jesus, based upon who he claimed to be, as God in the flesh, right? So he's God who became a person so that he can condemn our sinful nature. That was part of what he did, right? So those of us that are living these lives and saying, man, I'm tempted to go out and do this, I'm tempted to be that, my natural inclinations are selfish, my natural inclinations will eventually, if I just act them out, will basically lead me into bondage and isolation, because, you know, no one in any relationship just says and does whatever they're tempted to do, right? So that's where I came to challenge, like, if we focus on the work of God's Spirit in us, he can free us from all that stuff that'll leave us isolated and alone. And if we do that in community, right? I believe that can happen in our families and in our churches, that I could show up with members of my family and members of my church family and say, hey, man, I'm really struggling. I'm tempted to do this. I'm tempted to do that. Would you pray for me, and would you hold me accountable? Would you help me through this? And as God's Spirit works within us and we encourage one another, I believe we can do way better than our natural inclinations and appetites. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely makes sense.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's the biggest unnatural thing do you think people are infatuated with nowadays?
The biggest unnatural or the biggest natural thing?
Because you were talking about forgive me, you said something about living an unnatural life.
Right, that's the challenge. That's what I
Yeah.
want you to do. My challenge is to live an unnatural life, and in the Scripture, that unnatural life is called living a life filled with the Holy Spirit, like surrendering ourselves over to Christ and saying what naturally comes to me is going to damage my life and keep me separated from everything that I should be. And so I want to live an unnatural life, or some people would call it a supernatural life, right? And that unnatural life is saying no to my natural inclinations and yes to the Spirit of God working in me.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's actually it's motivating, but one of the reasons why I'm like battling with myself is because like as the days go on, like my connection with God is just a little stronger, right? Because I talk to Him, I pray every night,
Right.
and like I know, like He's gonna take care of me, you know, like what I'm supposed to be reaching for, like my life success or whatever that God has given me that I'm supposed to have, you know, like I know if I just give it all up, like I will get there, like no problem.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like my body, like my flesh, you know, like it's like no, wait, you know,
Right.
and it's like it's like rust in my body. It's just growing because it's like I'm ready, but at the same time, my body's like, no, you're not. Like, no, we're just
Right.
you know, and like that's what I've been.
That's a good analogy. It's like rust. Right. That is a great analogy.
Yeah, and so it's just one of those things. Like that's what I'm fighting for right now, because I'm ready. I'm almost ready. I feel it. You know, like
Dude, I think you're I like the way you're thinking.
yeah,
You know, and as long as you, first of all, acknowledging that battle, right? I think that's something our culture is not doing right now. Our culture is saying to us, hey, whatever comes natural, live that out and celebrate that. That's the authentic you. That's the genuine you. And I just don't think we believe that in our souls, you know. I think we know better.
yeah, and
You know, I've been married for 31 years. I don't say and do everything I think.
right,
I would have never have made it even past the first date if I did that, right? Who does that? No one. So our culture is trying to get us to buy into an ideology that we really don't believe deep within our being, you know? And I think that's the struggle, because there's less and less help these days, right? Where does someone go if they have natural inclinations and appetites that they know are self-destructive? Where do they go for help within a culture that says, well, if that's the way you feel, if that's, you know, then people need to let you do that, and that's what you should be. And if your spouse doesn't want you to be your authentic self, then just get the divorce, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually kind of having like a debate with my housemate, because he was like, man, this world is so messed up, blah blah blah, like we're just, you know, this and that. And I was like, okay, so what do we do? Like who do we follow, you know? Because I told him, I was like, the way I think is like humans are destructive people, right? For example, you have an essay, you're writing, you mess up. What do? You toss it in the trash. But what do you do before that? You
Right.
crumble it up. You destroy it, you know? And then like all this like this bloody fights and like the Roman Empire with like the gladiators, like people thrive off of like death and destruction. And so like kind of what you're preaching today, it's like if we follow us like the way we are, destructive human beings, if we follow humans, then ultimately we're just a ticking time bomb, you know?
Right.
And so it's like, well, then who do we follow, or what do we follow? And this is when I told my boy, I was like, the Bible. You know what I mean? I was like, you don't have to be religious, but like the Bible is a good thing to follow through, because they have
Right.
like rules and stuff like that, and like the seven deadly sins and everything. Like if that's what we're all doing, like this whole world is
Right.
doing all 7, and so it's
You know,
like
I mentioned this morning that, you know, within the Bible, like the Old Testament, right, you have the laws of God in there. And we get pretty confused with the laws of God because we had the civil laws, which was like for Israel, right?
Mhm.
And then you had the ceremonial laws with all the sacrifices and feasts and festivals and all that kind of stuff that after Jesus we just don't do. But then there's the moral law, right? And I am a follower of Jesus. I believe that's the way to go. But I do also know that there's a lot of benefit in the Bible by just looking at that moral code of Scripture. And just even if somebody said, you know, Jesus was just a human, right? Which I believe he was God in the flesh. But if someone says, I think Jesus was human, at least looking at Jesus and saying, like, using him for a mentor or an example, you know, would be amazing. But in Galatians chapter 5, right, I mentioned this morning, that it says the works of the flesh and the works of God's Spirit. And they give us like these lists, right? Let me just read that list real quick in Galatians 5, starting in 19. Now the works of the flesh are evident. They're sexual immorality, impurity, sensuality, adultery, sorcery, enmity, strife, jealousy, fits of anger, rivalries, dissensions, divisions, envy, drunkenness, orgies, and things like these. That's what we do naturally, right?
yeah.
And I don't think anybody says, well, those are good. That's awesome. But rather these other things that are the fruit of the Spirit of joy, peace, love, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. So kind of said, like, who do you want to follow, your natural inclinations or the Spirit of God, right? God's moral compass, you know, within us. So that's kind of like a list where you can say, okay, which direction you want to go with your life.
Yeah, when you brought up sorcery, and in our modern terms, it's like drugs, right?
Yeah, that Greek word there in Galatians is pharmakia, where everybody that just heard that knows where that is, right? Pharmacy, pharmaceuticals. So yeah, it was like this weird worship that was induced by drugs.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Because if you do drugs, you really start, you know, not
Yeah.
being human. You start
Yeah,
going.
it's like a connection, not in this another direction, but it's kind of a connection to the dark world, like connection
Right.
to evil
Mm-hmm.
through drug use. Yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah, it's like the bridge, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Well, thank you, Paul, for coming on. If you want
You're
to stay
welcome.
on for the rest of the show, you're more than welcome. We're going to be, you know, talking about whatever works. But we are
Sure.
going to take a 5-minute break, and when we come
Okay.
back, we'll keep talking. We'll keep chopping it up.
Yeah,
Sounds
I'll hang
good.
out with you, and when you want me to say something, ask a question. I won't just butt in for you guys. I'll hang out though.
All right.
All right,
Thank
sounds
you.
From the Bureau of Economic Geology, this is Earth Day. When did our ancestors leave the trees and begin to lead a life on solid ground? Some real-life CSI has given us a big clue. Lucy, the 3-million-year-old skeleton of one of our oldest known human relatives, was recently on a museum tour of the United States. During her visit, University of Texas scientists examined her skeleton with geological CT scanners, similar to medical CAT scans, but with higher resolution. Fossil bones often break as they're buried, but Lucy's upper arm showed something unusual. It was compressed, with sharp fracture lines and tiny bone fragments intact. The team called in an orthopedic surgeon who confirmed that this injury in modern humans only occurs when they extend their arms to try to break a fall from considerable height. So they began to look for other fracture evidence of a fall and found it in her ankle, knee, pelvis, and ribs. They then looked to modern chimpanzees, which are about the same size as Lucy. Chimps nest in trees at heights of up to 35 feet, high enough that a fall could result in the same type and degree of fracturing found in Lucy. Further studies using the CT data showed that her ratio of arm strength to leg strength was more like chimps than humans. Both findings suggest that 3 million years ago, our ancestors may have lived a significant part of their lives in trees. I'm Scott Tinker, and this has been your Date with Earth.
Earth Date is produced by the Bureau of Economic Geology at the University of Texas at Austin. Earth Date is researched by Julie Hennings, written by Harry Lynch, and distributed by Mark Blunt and Casey Walker. For more stories, follow us on Facebook or visit earthdate.org.
Hi, I'm food critic Alan Borgen, and I'm excited to tell you about Ray's Shanghai Bistro, located next to Redlands DMV on Lagonia in Redlands. Ray's Shanghai Bistro offers the largest and most delicious array of traditional and original Chinese dishes available in the Inland Empire. Some of my favorite dishes are the house-made pot stickers, the crisp pork spare ribs with garlic, their unique spicy lamb with bamboo, the sweet and tangy deep-fried orange peel beef, and the savory basil spicy shrimp, plus lots of vegetarian dishes. Whether you dine in, pick up the food, or have them cater your next party or special occasions, you will see why Ray's, spelled R-U-I', Shanghai Bistro, is truly the best Chinese restaurant in the Inland Empire. Their website is raysshanghaibistro.net. That's raysshanghaibistro.net. R-U-I-S, shanghaibistro.net. Happy eating. You won't be disappointed.
Tune into KCAA Radio every Wednesday at 4 p.m. for Coffee and Cash Flow with Stephen and Anthony. Stephen Crawford and Anthony Skinner share their expertise of financial markets and offer a unique perspective on retirement security and the impact that Wall Street and Washington have on your retirement income and your overall quality of life. Coffee and Cash Flow looks beyond the propaganda of Wall Street and Washington for a realistic perspective of financial markets and the rules that control the game. Tune in for Coffee and Cash Flow with Stephen and Anthony every Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. right here at KCAA Radio 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM, and online at kcaaradio.com, the stations that leave no listener behind.
Hey SoCal,
Inland Empire,
worldwide. Tune in Mondays at 6 p.m. for the ATL About That Life Awareness Hour. I'm Uncle Mo.
And I'm DJ Cool Tay.
We're bringing you actual facts about the hood life, pitfalls, business, family, and law, offering alternative resources for a better lifestyle. So tune in with me, Uncle Mo.
And me, DJ Cool Tay.
Mondays at 6 p.m. for the ATL About That Life Awareness Hour.
Here on KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3, 106.5 FM.
The station that leaves no listener behind.
My Sunday best. Let's go, baby. Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Whatever Works on KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. I'm Sam Works.
I'm Kyle Kerrigan.
And we have Pastor Paul on the air, on the phone line. You still there?
Still here. Good to be with you guys again.
That was a really good talk before the half, by the way.
Yes.
That was really good.
Yeah, so if you guys missed it, again, you guys can go on Spotify or kcaaradio.com and you go back and re-listen to it, because we're just talking with Pastor Paul about living an unnatural life and going against our temptations and our vices, and giving yourself up to the Lord so He can carry you through life, right?
That's right.
There you go. I like that. So, Kyle, what's going on today? What's happening tonight?
We have a lunar eclipse that's going to be right above us. It's going to peak. The apex is at 9 p.m., 8:55 p.m., I think.
Yeah, and then you guys will get at 7:30. Ooh, is it almost 7:30? Oh, it's past 7:30. Yeah, you guys should be looking out right now, and the eclipse should start rolling through. But another thing I wanted to talk about, Pastor Paul, do you like going on hikes and trails and stuff?
I do. I cover more ground on mountain bikes, so I prefer that rather than hiking.
Have you heard of the PCT, Pacific Crest Trail?
Yes, I've been yelled at on it. I guess, to be honest with you, you're not supposed to ride bikes on the PCT.
No.
Yeah. Oops.
That's funny. You probably have to bring a couple extra spare tubes.
Yeah, I have two. I'm tubeless right now.
Oh, really?
You can't have tubes on a mountain bike. You got to run tubeless tires, man.
Yeah.
There you go.
Fair enough. So if you guys don't know what the PCT trail is, it's the Pacific Crest Trail that goes from Mexico to Canada. It's how many
2,650 something miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's crazy.
It's the average time to finish it is 5 months, right? And they say, well, you're bringing your whole life with you, basically, because
Yeah.
you're out there for 5 months. You're going to be doing some stuff. But the reason why I bring that up is because I never heard of this trail before until this weekend.
Yeah.
I was in Idlewild for my brother. We went camping for his birthday. And I'm almost to the campsite, right? I'm going through this town in Idlewild, and I see these hitchhikers. Now, everyone knows, don't pick up hitchhikers, right?
But Sam picked up the hitchhiker.
Yeah, lead by example, right? But it was funny because I don't have any window tint, right? And I'm coming down, the sun's hitting through my windshield, and they had their thumbs up, and we all make dead eye contact. There's 4 of them, and I'm smiling because I don't have a poker face. I'm like, no, like, I'm sorry. And I thought about it, and I turned around, and I picked them up. Well, I'm still alive, so that's a good sign. I'm not missing. I'm here at the radio station.
Sam's here.
So we're chopping it up, and then I was like, oh, so what are you guys doing? I mean, they have all their gear and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they're all from different parts of the world, like they're different countries. There's 2 males and 1 female. One of them, the lady that was up front, she's from like Sweden or around.
Wow.
And then
there we go,
this
Joe.
other guy, he started talking, and I was like, oh, are you like Irish? And he got a little irritated. He's like, no, I'm German. He's like, he's from Germany, and everyone else is from different countries. And I was like, oh, cool. How do you guys all know each other? And they're like, we don't. I was like, okay, this is weird.
Yeah.
So what's going on here? And then I asked them where they're going, and then they're like, oh, it's a trail that goes from Mexico to Canada. So then in my mind, I was like, they don't know what they're talking about. I was like, I never heard of a trail that goes all the way up the United States. And so, we're talking, and it was really good to meet them. But they're talking about this trail, and I come back, and I was like, hey, dude. Oh, the reason why they're by themselves is because it's a 5-month trail, right? It's a 5-month hike. So they don't have to wait up on anybody. They can stop when they want to. They can just go when they please. But what they do is, like, a lot of people do this trail, and they just tag along with each other. But when someone needs to move forward, they keep going. So that's why they go by themselves. But I thought it was super interesting. And then I went back to the campsite, and I told my brother. He's like, dude, I just met a guy in the bathroom that's doing that trail. And I was like, what? And so now it's on the bucket list.
PCT.
Yes. But as they said, they recommend going by yourself. But at the same time, that sounds a little dangerous, don't you think?
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Huh? No. So you can go at your own pace. Yeah. So the
don't
board
wanna
op
hold me
asked,
down.
he's like, "Why do you go by yourself?" And it's not to make friends, but so you can go at
Well,
your
you
own
do
pace.
make friends on the
Yeah,
way.
you do make friends on the way. So that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool, just meeting people from other countries in a foreign country.
Yeah.
Just
On
going
the
on this
same
trail.
on the same
That's,
mission.
That's such a wild thought. Think about it. Like, you're from a different country, you go to a different country and meet people from other countries.
Yeah.
Like,
The only thing you
just
guys
hiking
have,
this trail.
the only thing you have in common is this
It's
trail.
this trail, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Pastor Paul, you bike ride. So what's the most intense bike ride you've been on, in terms of like?
I did a century on a road bike. I did that, which is a 100-mile ride.
Oh wow.
Oh,
I did that. That was probably, I don't know if it was the hardest one, but it was like it took the most discipline.
You
Probably
got,
the hardest ones are honestly where I don't plan my mountain bike route correctly and I go too far downhill and have to climb back. And then I'm like stuck in wind and out of water. That kind of sucks.
Yeah.
That's happened way too many times that I'd like to admit.
What'd you call it? The what? Century?
A century? Yeah, it's a cycling term everybody uses for a 100-mile ride. Right.
Oh, okay. Did you end up having bad knees after that, or how'd you feel?
No, I
after
felt
the whole
pretty
thing?
good. Honestly, I drank a lot of iced tea and ate a lot of food afterwards. But sitting on the seat was probably the worst part of that.
Oh, I bet.
Because you're on about 6 hours.
Mm-hmm. And those 100 miles, what's the locations? What's the landmarks there?
that one I took from, you guys know where the 91 and Green Valley is right there in Corona?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we went from that spot right there in Corona down. We took it's called the Santa Ana River Trail. It's that section there.
Mm-hmm.
We took that over to the beach, and then we went from Brookhurst. It takes you out like at Brookhurst and the one right there, Pacific Coast Highway, and then we took the PCH all the way to Queen Mary and Long Beach, and then ate a little lunch, and then came on back. So we timed it about 100. It was 101 miles.
And how long did that take? 6 hours?
About 6 hours, yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
You know, a lot of people that do these bike rides, I mean, you were talking about how the seat is probably the most uncomfortable feeling. I heard,
right.
I heard keeping your head up, wearing a helmet, you know, for that long.
I always wear a helmet.
Yeah. My brother, I mean, he wasn't mountain biking, but he rode his motorcycle from California to Colorado, and he was like, bro, I wish I had like duct tape so I can duct tape like the helmet to the back of my neck so I could hold my head up.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's pretty crazy. So there's two things that I want to ask you about. One is, how did you prep for your Century ride? And then a more vague topic that we can go in depth with if we have enough time is discipline. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about your preparation for this bike ride.
Okay. I did an 8-week training regimen that you ride 3 days a week. You do a long ride. Like, let's say you're just starting out with cycling and you can ride 20 miles, right? And I'm sure each one of you can get on a bike and ride 20 miles. But you do 20 miles your first day, and then like you skip a day. So you do 3 rides a week, a long ride, which your first one will be 20, and then you do a short ride of like just an hour, whatever you can get done in an hour. And then you do interval training, you know, sprint for a minute, and then just kind of calm down and slow down for about a minute, and then another minute. You just rotate on and off, do interval training. Mm-hmm. So that's like, you do that for 8 weeks, and you go from 20 miles, and then 2 weeks later you do 40, then 60, then 80, and then you rest for a whole week and get super hydrated, and then you're ready to go.
You know, doing that 80 mile, I would have just finished it and done that 100. Like,
right? Yeah. Right?
You're already almost there, dude.
Right. Yeah, if you're feeling it, just like go for it. But if you're doing like a sanctioned ride or a big group ride that you have planned, you know, or something like that,
right? A group effort
for that day. Yeah. Because honestly, the last 10 miles is when your neck, you know, hurts, and your seat hurts, and that's like the worst part. Mm. And then I learned this little, I forget the math equation, to be honest with you, but for my body type, I'm 6'1", I'm over 200 pounds. I need 48 grams of carbohydrate an hour to sustain like that kind of output. So
right, to maintain your body
sure
function.
I drank 1 bottle of water an hour and at least 48 grams of carbohydrates an hour, and then that was fine.
Huh. Sounds like a lot of dry food. What'd you eat for the carbs?
Yeah, a lot of Cliff Bars.
There you go. Yeah.
Cliff Bars save the day.
They do.
Yep.
Okay, so we only have
Big
about
Newtons, believe it or not. Like Big Newtons, like, I don't know. There's like something special in there. I don't know what it is. They're magical or something.
They are expensive, so you are paying for some type of quality, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to jump on discipline here for a second because, I mean, everyone knows, if I had more discipline, then I would be where I'm not right now, right, in the moment.
Right.
But how do you, because you can't just gain discipline. You can't just discipline yourself and that's it. You know, like, what do you have to lose or what do you have to gain in order to accumulate discipline?
I think it's set a goal and find an example, and then what's motivating you, right? So if I have a goal to say, I want to ride 100 miles in one day, right? Okay, well, that's a good goal, but what's motivating you to do that? Like, is it because other friends will do it? You think it's fun? Is it something that, you know, and as a person that I was never like good at endurance, anything. And then I just want to stay in shape. I'm 50 years old. So, you know, I don't want to be, you know, out of shape. So I got to take care of myself. And, you know, running's not really a good, you know, I can't do all those kind of team sports I grew up playing. So, you know, a few years ago, I just picked up cycling I've been mountain biking forever, for like 20 something years. That's just a fun thing. But yeah, so set a goal, find a motivation and some accountability. And I think through that you can form discipline.
See, I think the biggest word out of all that was accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, someone who's disciplined, like you would have, to me, I feel like you would have to give up something in order to gain discipline, like sacrifice something, right? So, like, in a sense of waking up at 7 a.m. every day, right? But you are always, you're natural to staying up at, past midnight, And so it's like you would have to lose your temptations of wanting something in the now moment to gain reward. I wouldn't even say your reward is guaranteed in the future, but it's something to shoot for rather than just watch your life waste,
Right. The accountability is huge. I had two guys that we set a date and then said on this date we're going to ride, 100 miles. So I wasn't, and one of them, he's like a super stud. He can do a double century. Like he'll roll out of bed and go ride 200 miles on his bike. But I'm not that kind of human. So I knew that he was going to make fun of me if I couldn't do 100 miles. And I don't know, call me weak, but I don't like my friends to make fun of me. I like it's the competitive side of me, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I couldn't let those dudes down, right? I couldn't be a loser with those two dudes, so I had to do it.
Yeah, and you did it. So
yeah.
So what's the next big move? What's your next big ride?
I don't know. I want to do some bike packing. Have you guys ever heard of that?
Yeah. I mean, I get the concept. You just backpack but on a bike, right?
So I want to do that, and I don't have a big goal right now, honestly. But I bought a hardtail mountain bike so that I can go bike packing. I bought all the gear, but I haven't done it yet. This is the time of year to go do it. So it's like a 3-day little trip, Last year I had a goal that I wanted to go to Moab, Utah and ride what's called Slick Rock out there and do that. So I did that. But honestly, I don't have a goal right now. Yeah, I don't. Of which maybe I need one.
Okay, so speed round or a speed question. What was your last goal and when?
Oh, yeah. I guess my last big goal was a year ago when I graduated with my doctorate. I guess that was like my last big goal. And I've just kind of been chilling out after that. But maybe I need to create another one. Or maybe ride another century, maybe do a big mountain bike ride, maybe like a 50-mile mountain bike ride.
Switch it up. Do swim. Just go out there and swim the coast, man.
No way. I won't come back. See, running, swimming, those guys that do those Ironmans, they're not. You talk about unnatural. Those dudes. And those ladies, man. No, I knew a lady that she did ultra marathons and where she would run like 100 miles. Wow, that's intense. I think my next goal will be maybe I got to do that 3-day mountain biking trip. There's a thing that's called the Baldy Bruiser, and it's from up here in Big Bear, and it goes all the way across through the Cajon Pass or whatever, and then up to Mount Baldy. It's like,
oh wow,
that's crazy.
I don't know, but I watched videos on it, and it just looks intense. I don't.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not up for it. I don't know.
You know that saying, "Oh, it sounds easier than it is." Well, that doesn't even sound easy.
No,
I can only imagine.
But you guys have me here talking about it. I should have just kept that to myself.
Now I got to hold you accountable for it.
It's like, oh,
yeah,
yeah, but and that's a cheesy saying, but if you believe, you can achieve. You know,
right?
Because before you came on the line, I was talking about how strong your mind is, your brain. And when it comes to like believing in certain things, and one of the topics was we're talking about voodoo. Like some people actually believe in voodoo. And it's like, if you really like truly believe it, then in your reality, like this is my personal like thoughts, like in your reality, yeah, it's probably true, because it's this whole like I said earlier, like this placebo effect.
Yeah.
And like
Okay.
doing this crazy bike ride and stuff. If you're going to the gym and working out and it's like you're trying to hit a new max, but you're already telling yourself like I can't hit that. Well,
Right.
you're probably right. You know what I mean? Like whether you say you can or you can't, you're probably right.
Yeah.
You know.
Just speaking things
Yeah, I
into
believe that
existence.
there is power in what you tell yourself, for sure. You know, I don't think what we tell ourselves makes something objectively true, but I think it can affect us greatly, right? I think it can affect us greatly. The power of self-talk is very, very, very strong.
That is the words of wisdom right there, my friends.
Okay, yeah. So for me, I'm a sucker for views. That's why I hike.
Like landscape views?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant like social media views. Okay,
No,
that's
no.
why you hike. Views. Okay.
You know, and
Yes, of course.
yeah, and so that's my way of disciplining myself is, if I want to see a certain view, you have to go work for it. You know, you got to go, you just got to go. And hold myself accountable, and, if people come with me, work at my own pace, but work at their pace too, or they work at my pace because I'm a bigger guy.
He said, I ain't going to be in the front of the line.
As long as I get there, I get there.
Yes.
Right.
All right, so we got about 2 minutes left on the show. Pastor Paul, thank you for coming on. Is there anything that you want to give the public? Any wisdom, information?
Well, which church are you based out of again?
It's called the Retreat Church. It's in Yucaipa.
Okay.
Yeah, you can find us at theretreatchurch.com or on YouTube. Same thing. Just go and type in the Retreat Church in Yucaipa, and you'll find us on YouTube.
Yeah. It's located on Avenue H between...
Yeah, Avenue H, just west of California.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, come check it out.
Yeah.
Hey, that church is filling up. I'm not going to lie. I walked into it. I was like, man, it's a full house. I almost had to park down the street. I was happy for you. I was like, all right, cool. This is good.
I would just come on by, any of you. We can sit and chat. We can do whatever. I'm very personable. We go to coffee. We can go wherever, hang out.
Sounds
Talk
good.
with anybody anytime.
All right, appreciate it, Pastor Paul. Thank you guys for listening.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Yes, sir. See you next Sunday. And for everyone else, you will also hear from us next Sunday. We have a guest, but I'm going to keep that on the down low.
Yeah.
And
very special guest.
Yeah, so tune in, and if you guys want to go back, just go to KCAA, whatever works on Spotify, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy this song. And Kyle, take it away.
Thank you for listening to Whatever Works. I'm Kyle Kerrigan.
I'm Sam Works.
Have a good night, everybody. Look out for that lunar eclipse.
Everyone falls down sometime, but you just gotta know it'll all be fine.
Thank you, Riverside County, for listening to KCAA 102.3 FM, the station that leaves no listener behind. This segment